welcome to Learn Community Events webinar, and welcome. I'm Tina Barnett. I'm with Elderberry Care, and I'm also a board member of Learn. Today, our topic is signs of a scam, and our presenter is Rechelle Littau, and she's a consumer specialist with the Office of Idaho Attorney General. What is Learn? So Learn is a lifelong education and aging resource network. We're an Idaho-based nonprofit organization with a mission to provide community education on aging and caregiving topics. And we're a 100% volunteer organization. We're also a part of the Leaders Network of the Society of Certified Senior Advisors. The Society of Certified Senior Advisors is an organization that educates and certifies professionals who work with seniors. So this content is provided for general information purposes only and is not to be considered legal, financial, or health advice. Consult with your legal, financial, healthcare, or other service providers before taking action based on this information. So our sponsors are Peggy Farnsworth, CPA. She's a Boise retirement coach, and she'll help you plan for your retirement journey from pre-planning through legacy planning. And Granny on the Move. And Granny on the Move acts as a general contractor for seniors who can no longer live at home independently. And these sponsors help us provide this information for free. So Rechelle Littau serves as a consumer specialist in the Idaho Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division. As a consumer specialist, Ms. Littau provides presentations statewide to give Idahoans the knowledge and tools they need to protect themselves from fraud. Ms. Littau represents the office at conferences, workshops, and meetings, providing guidance and educational materials to consumers, business owners, government agencies, and others on a variety of consumer topics. She also helps resolve written complaints between consumers and businesses through the Consumer Protection Division's informal dispute service. So I'd just like to say, welcome to you, Rechelle.
Thank you, Tina. I do want to start by thanking Learn for inviting me to share this presentation with your members. It's so valuable for folks to be able to learn about what's going on out there as far as scams go and how to spot them. My name is Rechelle Littau, and I'm a consumer specialist with the Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division. Our division protects consumers, businesses, and the marketplace from unfair and deceptive acts and practices. And we seek to fulfill our mission efficiently and economically through education, mediation, and enforcement. Before I jump in, I do want to mention that the opinions I'm expressing in this presentation are mine and do not represent the thoughts or opinions of the Attorney General, the Attorney General's office, or the state of Idaho. But today, what we're going to talk about is how to spot the tricks that criminals use when trying to defraud you. And I also want to share with you all some examples of how scammers have used these tricks against Idahoans. So I'm going to jump to my next slide, slide 2. I don't think we're going quite yet, but so we're going to talk about scams. And it can feel like there are a million of them out there. We've got lottery scams and rental scams and romance scams and fake check scams. And in my line of work, I hear about scams every day, and I get paid to know the specifics of different scams and how they work. But for regular people, learning about all of those can be a bit overwhelming. However, you don't need to know every scam that's out there in order to avoid falling victim to them. I went to my next slide. I'm assuming that most of the folks in this audience will probably have heard of, it sounds like a broken record. Some of the younger folks might not have, but If you're a person of a certain age like myself, you know what it means to sound like a broken record. And scammers are a bit like a broken record. They use the same tricks over and over and over again. They've learned what works and they use it. But if you learn to recognize those tricks that they keep using over and over again, you'll be able to spot a scam and hopefully walk away with your money and your personal information intact. Today, I'm going to share 6 signs of a scam with you. Some fraud attempts will meet all 6 of these signs, but others may only meet a few. Just remember, as we discuss these different signs, that something doesn't have to hit all 6 in order for it to be a scam, okay? All righty, so our first sign of a scam is surprise. I want you to try to imagine that, let's say you're coming home late at night and you put your key in the door, you unlock it, you open it up, and all of a sudden the lights pop on and 20 people jump out and scream surprise at you. Imagine how you might react. Would you scream? Would you be speechless? Would you let colorful language fly? Would you turn tail and run? You know, it might be any of these, could be all of them. The point is that when you are startled or surprised, you may react without thinking. And scammers know this, and they are trying to catch their victim or their potential victims off guard. Victims will often report that they were contacted out of the blue with unexpected news. And it might be good news, it might be bad news, but it was unexpected. And if you're unprepared for something, you may react in a way that you normally wouldn't have if you had time to think about it. So that's why they use this element of surprise. Real quickly, I want to mention how scammers might contact you. And basically the answer to that is any way they can. I think most people might equate scams with like a phone call, and that certainly does happen a lot. But we also hear from folks who've had scammers knock on their door. They solicit you at your home. They may send you an email, a text message. We've had reports of folks who receive direct messages through social media. If there is a method that you use to communicate with folks, scammers will use it as well. So just keep that in mind, okay? All right. Our second sign of a scam is to hurry up. Scammers are going to pressure you to act quickly. They are going to say that something is an emergency or that it's time sensitive. And they're going to tell you that there's consequences if you don't act right away. Sometimes they'll tell you something terrible is going to happen if you don't act right away. Your social security number will be suspended, or you'll be arrested. Keep in mind, like a government agency, the Social Security Administration, they're not going to threaten you. They may also say if you don't act quickly, you're going to lose out on some great opportunity. The next person in line is going to win the sweepstakes prize, something like that. We always urge people to fight that inclination to act quickly. Try to slow your interaction with a potential scammer down, or with whoever calls you on the phone or emails you. Slow that interaction down. Don't let anybody pressure you into acting without thinking. And this applies whether, like I said, if it's somebody on the phone, a salesperson who shows up at your door, or an old friend who contacts you using Facebook Messenger out of the blue that you haven't heard from for years. Slow the interaction down. There is almost nothing that is so urgent that you're going to miss out if you don't act immediately. If anybody, we always also encourage you, if anybody starts to pressure you to act quickly, end that communication. You know, if you answer the phone and somebody's telling you, you have to do this now, you don't be worried about being rude. You can do it nicely if you want. You can say, thank you for contacting me. I'm going to look into this. Goodbye, and hang up, and don't answer another call. You know, contact somebody you trust to try to check out the situation. One scam example of scammers who try to pressure you to act quickly occurs in what we call a family emergency scam or a grandparent scam. You know, most folks have family members that they love and care about, grandkids, kids, nieces, nephews, whatever. And scammers are banking on the fact that you might have somebody in your life that you would worry about. And if that person were in trouble, you would want to help them. And so what scammers will do is they will call you on the phone and say, hi, grandma. And when you ask who it is, they'll say something like, oh, it's your favorite grandchild. My own grandma got this phone call. And when you say their name, they trick you into saying your grandchild's name, and they'll say, yeah, it's me. And they'll say that they're in trouble and that they need your help immediately. A lot of times the scammers will say that they're in a foreign jail because some of misunderstanding took place. You know, they were on vacation in the Caribbean and they got arrested because they got in a car accident, something like that. And they're going to tell you, you need to help them right now. If you were to receive a call like this, you know, we realize, again, slow that interaction down. Don't be worried about helping them so much that you're not thinking it through. Slow it down, end the call, and call your grandchild directly at a known number, that sort of thing. Because, you know, I would say 99.9% of the time, your grandkid, your niece, your nephew, your son, your daughter, they are not in trouble. It's a scammer, okay? Real quick, on the screen right now, I've got an example of a scam that an Idaho resident received that they shared with us. And this scam was received by text. And it's a business impersonation scam. This text claims that it's from Amazon. And it came to this person out of the blue. So that's a first sign of a scam. It was a surprise. They weren't expecting this contact. And it looks kind of scary. It says security alert. That sounds serious and a bit scary. It says the account was blocked. And then verify, there's a spelling error here, verify you account within 24 hours or your Amazon account will be terminated permanently. So you have to act quickly or your account will be terminated permanently. That all sounds a little scary. Thank heavens that this person recognized this for the scam it was. If you were to receive something like this, we would tell you, do not click on the link provided in that text. It could download a virus or something else icky on your phone or your computer. You would want to log into your Amazon account. If you have Amazon, you would want to log into your account using your known login place and see if you have any direct messages from Amazon. In most, I would say in most cases, you're not going to. I've received this actual scam myself too. It's been a pretty popular one with scammers over the last couple of years, especially because so many folks have been buying online. All right, I'm going to skip to our third sign of a scam. I like to think of this one as what's your number? Scammers want your personal information. And this could be your social security number, your credit card number, Medicare number, bank accounts, birth date. And in addition to that kind of the numbers game, they also might ask about your family. They're trying to get information about your life, okay? This happens a lot when scammers impersonate government entities such as Social Security, the IRS, law enforcement agencies. And we always say never divulge personal information to somebody unless you know with 100% certainty who you're speaking with. If you give personal information to a scammer, it is going to greatly increase your chance your risk of experiencing identity theft. In most instances, in almost any case, government agencies are not going to initiate contact with you by phone. And please be aware that you can't necessarily trust caller ID. If you receive a phone call and it says Idaho Supreme Court or it says Attorney General's office, you might want to think twice before answering and then look that number up and call it back yourself. We've had folks who've called our office and told us they received scam calls that listed our office's name or our office's phone number in their caller ID. We've also had them say they've listed the Idaho Supreme Court's number in the caller ID. So you really have to be careful of that caller ID. It can trick you. If you think a government agency or a legitimate business might be trying to contact you, again, we advise don't answer the call if you don't have to, or if you do answer it and it just sounds off, hang up and then go verify the real phone number either in the phone book, on your billing statement. Scammers like to impersonate power companies. Look at your Idaho Power bill and call the number that's on your bill, or go online to a site you know is the legitimate business site and verify the contact information, then initiate contact yourself. If you unwittingly provided personal information to a scammer, you are going to want to report that to the Federal Trade Commission, and you can do that online. And on our last slide today, I'll have their website address, or you can do it by phone as well. A quick example of an imposter scam, or a scam where numbers are often involved, is, like I said, those government imposter scams, specifically Social Security imposter scams. According to reports filed with the Federal Trade Commission, government imposter scams were the top fraud type from 2014 to 2021. And so far this year, 2022, year to date, because we're not quite through the year yet, but for this year, the agency most likely to be impersonated is Social Security. And so far for this year, the FTC has received almost 18,000 reports regarding Social Security imposters. And consumers who reported losing money have reported losing over $46 million. And the year's not over yet. The median individual loss, median loss just means half of consumers who lost money lost more than that, half lost less, is $1,500. So that's a lot of money. Scammers will try when they do that to get you to pay them or give you their number. Again, try to avoid that. I'm going to go to my next slide. So Tina, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this.
Okay.
This is an audio clip. I'm going to try to play this and we'll see if anything happens. Okay.
Mhm.
Fingers crossed. Oh, heck, sorry.
Enforcement agencies to suspend your Social Security number on an immediate basis, as we have received suspicious trails of information in your name. The moment you receive this message, I need you to get back to me on my department division toll-free number that is 1-888-952-5554. I repeat, 1-888-952-5554. Verify the last 4 digits of your Social Security number when you call to better assist you with this issue. Now, if I don't hear a call from you, we will have to issue an arrest warrant under your name and get you arrested. So get back to me as soon as possible. Thank you.
That is an example of a government imposter scam. It is a scammer impersonating the Social Security Administration. A joke in my line of work is if you've ever tried to call Social Security, you know it's almost impossible, or you're going to be waiting on hold for a long time to get through to a live person. When we listen to this one, you know, in this setting, it almost sounds a little laughable. You're like, really, that doesn't sound real or legit. But if you are not in a correct frame of mind, maybe you're really stressed out about something, or, you know, anybody can fall for these at any time. You would be amazed at the folks I've spoken with who are like, I can't believe I fell for that. And I had one gentleman, his wife had passed away. He just wasn't thinking right. And he fell for something like this. But again, think about those signs of a scam in there. This voicemail came out of the blue. It sounds scary. They're threatening to suspend your social security number. Legitimate government agencies are not going to threaten you. They say there's an arrest warrant under your name. They say there's urgency, get back to me as soon as possible. And then they also say you're going to have to verify the last 4 digits of your social security number. They may already have those. I would not be surprised if somebody called this one back and they gave them the last 4 digits, that eventually they would ask for more. And again, this is nice because it's a voicemail. It's easier to think through a voicemail. If somebody called you and it was a live person threatening this sort of thing, your reaction might be different. So again, just try to slow interactions down. All righty. I'm going to jump to our 4th sign of a scam, which is pay up. Scammers want to get money. They want to get paid. They're doing this because they're trying to get something from you. This is how they earn their paycheck. In 2021, Idahoans reported losing $17.3 million to fraud. That's a huge number, 17.3 million. That's just Idahoans, that's just 1 year. And those are only the people who reported their losses. Many people are way too embarrassed to report it. And so we don't know what the real number is. I assume it's significantly higher. And I bet the amount for 2022 is going to be even higher than that. So far this year, Idahoans have reported losing $10.2 million to fraud. And the median amount of money lost by Idahoans so far this year is $500. Now, I don't know about all of you. I don't have $500 to just hand over to a criminal. And they are going to ask you to give them money, usually in very specific ways. One is wire transfer or bank-to-bank transfer. This is kind of like the old school method, but it still happens. Like if you were to wire money from Western Union to another Western Union across the US somewhere, or internationally, or send money directly from your bank account to a bank account number they gave you. Scammers also like to get paid in gift cards. What they will do is tell their victim to go purchase the gift card and then call them back. Or sometimes they will keep that person on the phone with them when they are telling them to go to the store. And then once you buy the gift card, they ask you to read the numbers on the gift card off to them along with the 4-digit PIN. Once they have those numbers, they can empty that card almost immediately and the money's gone, and more likely than not, there is no way for you to recover it. Scammers have favorite gift cards that they ask for. These are Target. They like Target gift cards, Google Play, Apple, eBay, and Walmart. Those tend to be their gift cards of choice. Scammers have also, especially in the last couple of years, started asking for payment by direct payment application or apps. These would be apps that you would use on your cell phone, things like Venmo or Zelle, Cash App, Apple Pay, those types of things. So if you've heard of those scammers will ask you to pay them using those apps. And then scammers are always, kind of ahead of the curve technology-wise sometimes. And so they are onto the next big thing, and they are now asking for payment by cryptocurrency. So just a heads up there. The thing that all of these payment methods have in common is that once you pay a scammer using one of them, it's almost impossible to recover your money. And that's why they like these methods. And they will often threaten you if you don't pay them immediately. And right there, there's two signs of our scams. They're going to say you have to pay immediately, and they're asking for payment. Two signs. Again, and I know I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again because it bears repeating. A real government agency will not threaten you. They won't. And government agencies, whether it's federal, state, county, city, local, whatever, are never going to accept payment by gift card. If anybody ever asks you to pay a debt with gift cards, it's always, always, always a scam. Always. Gift cards are for gifts only. I want to talk real quick about a scam that often involves payment, and that's romance scams. Romance scams are one of the saddest scams that our office hears about, because the person who is being scammed is often emotionally invested with the person who's stealing from them. Romance scammers are very good at talking their victims out of money. They don't rush into the scam. They are playing the long game. They will meet someone, often online, usually online basically, and then they groom their victims over a period of time. Could be weeks, sometimes it's months. And they establish trust with their victim. And once they've got you hooked, then they're going to trick you into thinking they care about you, and they're going to ask you for money. A lot of times these folks will claim that they want to visit, but can't afford to come. Or, and yeah, if you send them money, then they'll come, and you send them money and they never show up. Or they'll say they've had a family emergency. Can you please send money? And the victim sends money, and then the scammer asks for more, and it just creates a vicious cycle. And please remember, and I think, online dating has become huge, and it's not just for young people anymore. Older adults can certainly fall victim to romance scammers. And in the first 6 months of this year, people ages 50 to 79 have lost 217 million to romance scams. This is as reported to the FTC, 217 million in just the first 6 months of 2022. I think everybody wants someone in their lives, and criminals prey on people who might be lonely or might not have family near them. I want to show you a slide, an example of potential romance scams. These two screenshots here are follow requests from Instagram. These are actually from my personal Instagram. And romance scams will often start on a social media account. You may get an unexpected follow request. There's that surprise contact, and it looks pretty innocuous. So-and-so asked to follow you. But these kind of follow some trends, I guess. And I've received so many of these on my personal Instagram. It's just ridiculous. But the folks will often have like names that sound kind of common. This one, Wilson Evan. It's kind of a generic sounding name. And then we have Christian Johnson here. More often than not, the ones that I've received, the requests I've received like this, they will claim some sort of military service. We've got US Army over here. We've got PMC, private military contractor over here. Loving father, this one's single father, widowed, lover of God. They try to make themselves look like great people. And, if I were to allow these people to follow me, then they can direct message me. They can look at who else I'm following or my friends. And we've heard from way too many people that, somebody met somebody online, then that person wants to start communicating outside of whatever app that they originally started talking on. And before they knew what happened to them, they believed they were in a real relationship, and they started sending money to a scammer. It's happened more times than I can count. You know, I would advise to just be very careful with any online folks you meet. If anybody ever you meet, you know, can't meet you in person or can't video chat with you because they're out of country or whatever, it just throws up huge red flags. Be very, very careful. And if you've got your social media accounts locked down good, which I hope you all do, you know, you have a private Instagram account if you have Instagram, or Twitter or Facebook, don't let just, you know, have your settings set so not just anybody out there can look at your stuff. They have to be your friend, or they have to follow you, and that you know who's following you, because it's just, it happens so often. Okay. All right. The fifth sign of a scam is secrecy. Scammers so very often are going to ask you to keep everything that's happening a secret. They don't want you speaking with somebody who might see through their lies, see that it's all a deception. For example, when we talked about that grandparent scam a bit ago, the person who calls impersonating your grandchild will often say, please don't tell mom and dad, they'll be so mad. They don't want you to check out that story and realize that your grandchild is perfectly fine. You know, secrecy about scams allows the criminals to continue tricking people. So even by just talking about them, you help spread the word and give others the tools on how to spot them. I want to share a slide that has a really good example of the secrecy thing with the scam. The letter you're seeing on screen came to an Idaho resident, and it's got the Publishers Clearinghouse logo on top. And it says, you are the second place winner and you've won $2.5 million, which sounds fabulous. They've sent you a check with this letter for almost $7,000, so you can pay your insurance and attorney's fees. And they want you to contact your claim manager without any delay. So again, that urgency before depositing the check. I can guarantee if you deposited this check in a week or so, it would turn out to be bad, it would bounce. But that secrecy portion comes in the last paragraph here. And it says, as required by federal and state laws, your security code and prize information must be kept strictly confidential. I guess I'm not aware of any of those laws myself. That doesn't mean anything. I'm not an attorney, so, you know, who knows? But again, scammers, they want that secrecy component to everything. Secrecy, secrecy, secrecy. Okay. And then we're on to our final sign of a scam. That old saying, you know, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. It's cliche, but it's certainly true when it comes to scams. And we also like to flip it a bit when we're talking about scams, and we say the reverse is also true. If it sounds too bad to be true, it probably is. Scammers will often claim that something amazing or something really terrible has happened. But I can almost guarantee you that your grandchild is not in a Caribbean prison. No one is coming to arrest you. At least I certainly hope not. And unfortunately, you didn't win $2.5 million in a new car. Really, a healthy dose of skepticism can prevent you, may save you, I guess, from becoming a scammer's victim. All right. And I want to share one last scam example on screen here. This one is pretty icky. This one really makes me angry. This was received by an Idaho resident. He's Hispanic, so the letter came to him in Spanish, says he, you know, has to pay this fine of $2,600. And I just included a portion of the letter here. Down near the bottom of the letter, it references the Idaho Supreme Court. And right around the same time this gentleman got this letter, he received a bunch of phone calls from this phone number, 208, and I've got this on the screen as well. This is his call log, 208-334-2210. He received 5 calls from that number. That phone number is the phone number for the Idaho Supreme Court. He did not answer those calls, but I can bet if he had, there would have been a live person on there trying to convince him to pay this fine immediately. And again, like I said, you cannot trust your caller ID. I wish you could, you can't. So always be skeptical and check things out. All right. So just as a review, the 6 signs of a scam, that first one was surprise. Remember, they're trying to catch you off guard, contact you with unexpected news, might be good news, might be bad news. Either way, it's a surprise. Second sign of a scam, they may say something is an emergency or there's urgent, it's time sensitive. They're going to pressure you to act quickly. The third sign of a scam is they're going to ask for personal information. This might be those numbers, the what's your number, social security number, Medicare number, but they may also be trying to ingratiate themselves into your life, ask about your family, where you live. They're asking for that personal information. Be careful who you share stuff with. The fourth sign of a scam is they're trying to get paid. They're trying to get money out of you, and they're going to ask you to pay in ways that are very difficult to recover if you send them that money. That fifth sign of a scam was secrecy. They're going to want you to keep things confidential. And last, but again, certainly not least, is if it sounds too good or too bad to be true, it probably is. All right. Now, I do have homework for all of you. The first part of your homework is I'm going to ask that you share something you learned today with at least one friend or family member. That can be some of the signs of a scam or one of the scams that we talked about that are out there, like romance scams or grandparent scams or government imposter scams. Studies have shown that when people know about a scam, they are 80% less likely to engage with a scammer. And if they do engage, they're 40% less likely to become a victim. So just even knowing about these things helps prevent you from becoming a victim. All of us, we can all help our friends, family, neighbors from becoming victims by just sharing what we know and how to spot these scams and recognize them. The second part of the homework, and I hope not one person has to do this. Unfortunately, I know that that's probably not the case, but if you ever fall victim to a scam, please report it. You can report scammers to the Federal Trade Commission at ftc.gov. You can also, if you lost money to a scammer, report it to your local law enforcement. And the key is report as soon as possible. As I mentioned, it's very difficult to recover money lost to a scammer, but we occasionally hear about it happening. And the folks who are able to recover money, it's usually because they reported it almost immediately after it happened. So time is certainly of the essence when you're trying to recover money lost to a scammer. All right. On that final slide, again, thank you to Learn for inviting me to share this information with folks today. Our office certainly does appreciate the opportunity to try to educate consumers about how to protect themselves from fraud and scams. If you ever have any questions, you're welcome to contact us. I've got our phone numbers on this slide. You can check our website, and then the Attorney General's office does have a Twitter account. And so if we're hearing about scams, we often will post things about scams we hear going around on there. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and see, Tina, if you have any questions.
Well, it was just a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much, Rechelle. I consider myself to be fairly savvy, and I didn't realize that scammers could cloak their phone number or clone a phone number. So that's, I think, really important information to share with friends and family. And then if a scam happens, so you're saying that they can call like local law enforcement, say the Boise Police Department, is that the best place to start if they want to report if they've had money stolen?
Yes, if you've lost money to a scammer, call, and you're in the Boise area, if you're a Boise resident, call Boise PD. They have a fabulous, they have some fabulous officers who are very familiar with scams, and they do presentations too on scams as well. Yeah, definitely call Boise PD. And depending on how you lost it, like if you wired money, you can call our office too. We can't get the money back for you, but we will be able to give you names and not names, but names of organizations to contact to report it, whether it's the Federal Trade Commission. The FBI has a website called the Internet Crime Complaint Center. If you lost money via the internet or via wire transfer, that's where you want to report that. There's a lot of, we are happy to talk through things with you and provide as much information as possible. I just spoke with a woman, was it late last week or early this week? No, it must have been late last week. I'm like, yesterday was just Monday. Her dad had wired, it was bank transfer, $90,000 to a scammer. And she, he did it on a Monday, and I think I talked to her on Thursday. So yeah, I don't know if they were able to get that back, but went through with her all the places they needed to report. So we are very happy to talk through these things with you if, heaven forbid, you ever have a problem like this.
And it's way more common, I think, than all of us realize. It's happening all the time. Yeah, just really amazing. Another tool that I've used as just a consumer is sometimes I have even Googled, someone's either emailed me a scam or, so I'll Google Amazon scam, and then there'll be information in the Google search bar about that scam and what people's techniques are using. So I think if people are savvy about being able to search the internet, they can also check things in real time, even while you have someone. If you've made the mistake and you're on the phone with a scammer, you can maybe access what that scam is on the internet. So
absolutely, no, that is a fantastic idea. Yeah, especially when you receive like the text or the email scams, you can Google the phone number that they tell you to call, and it's not going to pop up with the correct agency or the correct business with that phone number. And it's interesting that you mentioned that. And I just saw it today, I think it was from a couple days ago, but the Washington Post had an article about when you Google something, and I want to make sure I mention this because it's something I didn't realize was happening as much as it is. Scammers can buy advertising on search engines. And so like if you Google the phone number for Amazon, more likely they don't really do a lot of phone messages. You got to go to your app or your online account, but you Google the number for a business or a company that you think is legitimate. And so many of us are just, I'm a little lazy. I don't scroll down and I click the top result. Right. If it has that little ad where it says ad on it, don't click that one. Right. Scroll down to the real search results. For it's a safety thing at this point, because those scammers are buying that top ad.
Right. So avoid ads on your Google search.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Just really such an informative webinar for us all. Rechelle, thank you so much for a great presentation. I'd like to also just give another shout out to our sponsors today, to Retirement Coach Peggy Farnworth and Grannies on the Move. All the attendees for today's webinar will receive an email inviting them to join our mailing list. And we've got all kinds of really great free community education on our website. So check your junk folder for that email invite in case it gets lost in there. So we have other webinars coming up and events. We have Medicare Information Assistance webinar. We start our Computer Essentials course at Boise Senior Center, which is an 8-session basic computer skills class beginning October 11th. And then navigating the Medicare appeals process, managing your mental health during the holidays, technology devices for older adults, holiday edition, and durable medical equipment options webinars. And you can sign up for all of these webinars on our website, and they're all free. So thank you so much for supporting the Learn mission. We're always happy to receive donations because we are a 100% volunteer. Thanks again to our speaker, Rechelle Littau, for giving this great presentation from the Idaho Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rechelle.